I'm joining you live right now from Bengaluru, which has been rocked essentially by the developments that have happened of the Dharmasthala complainant, who is referred to very often as the whistleblower, being arrested right now. And these are serious charges. That he spread false information. And essentially, this was a wild goose chase. You wasted time of the officials, of the investigative team, of the government on what seemed to be such an important case, simply because of the gravity of allegations that he leveled when he said, and I'll just take you back to what had happened, which was about a month ago, 2 months ago rather, which is when he had first emerged, producing a skull, saying that like this, there are many more such remains across Dharmasthala. Extremely serious allegations, these. And he had said that there were burial sites where he's buried hundreds of bodies. These were of little girls. So much detail, Aishwarya, even in our interview, where he said that, there were as young as 13-year-old girls whose bodies I had buried. Extremely grave allegations. But now the question will be, what really was the motive? Was it to actually malign the temple, the Dharmadhikari of the Manjunatha Swami temple? That really is the question. Why did he do it?
Right, Akshita, that actually is the million-dollar question, and that is the question that a lot of people are asking. And this became global news, Akshita, not just in India, but we also saw how these, this entire incident had grabbed international spotlight also, because questions were being asked. Is there a larger conspiracy at play? For the past many decades, were these kind of bodies actually, was someone who was being forced to bury these kind of bodies? So very crucial questions were being asked.
Exactly. And, here on India Today, we reported it in great detail just because of the gravity of allegations. Just imagine, Aishwarya, if for decades you had bodies being buried of young girls, of women, and nobody knew about it. There were missing girls cases that came up. It's not a joke, because these were families who saw a ray of hope of getting closure, because they were missing cases for so many decades where they didn't have answers. And with this man coming to the fore, they thought, look, maybe we'll get answers about our loved ones going missing. So you're playing with so many lives. You're playing with so many families. You're playing with the fate of millions, because we're talking about a temple that's revered across the country, particularly across Karnataka, where lakhs of people come together. So obviously there are serious questions to be asked here. Look, we're not going to jump to any conclusions right now. This is an ongoing investigation, and that we've maintained from day one, when we covered every single aspect of the probe. And the reality is that of the 15 sites, nothing substantial has been found. If there was any truth to the allegation that this man put forth, that he buried the bodies of hundreds of people, there should be some evidence to back it. He hid his identity all throughout. That's why we call him the masked man. At no point did he show what he looked like. Even when he's being arrested, you see his face completely covered. And he said that the reason I'm doing that is because I fear for my life. I fear that influential people who I expose will then go after me. Now, remember that in the last few days, in the run-up to, in fact, this arrest, there have been a lot of questions being asked on whether this man is, in fact, doing this at the behest of someone else. That's something that needs to be probed right now. What was the intention behind spreading such blatant lies and such serious allegations? Was he doing it on his own? Did he have a bone to pick with the temple administration? Or was it a lot more than that? Was this, allegations that he put forth because someone had directed him to do so? And if so, who? There are a lot of questions to be answered here, and hopefully with his arrest, we will get those answers. But important to highlight here that this man has been arrested simply because the police believe he put out false information. Even the skull, what I was referring to earlier, Aishwarya, that 2 months ago when he first came to the fore with these allegations, the reason everyone took it so seriously is, of course, because of the gravity of the charges that he leveled, but also because he brought forward remnants, remains, skeletal remains. He brought a skull and said, this is one of many that I've buried. And it turns out that that particular skull also is fake. It's taken some time because of the forensic analysis, and that continues, by the way, at the other sites as well, where some skeletal remains were found. But at this point, looking at the fact that he's been arrested, it looks like the SIT is more or less deemed that all of his claims were false, and that the remains that were found have nothing to do with, in fact, his allegations. Because, mind you, there were two sites essentially where skeletal remains were found. At the first site, the skeletal remains that were found, sources did tell us it seemed to be that of a male. Site 13A, close to site 13, is where the second skeletal remains, and this is very little, was found. That's something that the forensic analysis still continues on, which is why even the detailed investigation into this complainant's charges have been paused right now. So absolutely no merit so far, no evidence so far to back any of the claims that he's made. And that's probably what's led to this particular development now.
Right, Akshita, several questions still unanswered. And as you rightly pointed out, this is the time when the investigation is still taking place. Akshita, Nagarjun Dwarkanath also is with us on the broadcast. Nagarjun, the investigation is ongoing. Do not make it political. That's the statement coming in from the Congress party.
Well, because BJP seems to have a forward foot in this, because till yesterday they had been questioning the government, saying, "What evidence have you got? You have dug up 16 spots and nothing has been found. How much more digging would the government take up just based on someone's statement?" If Sunil Kumar, BJP MLA, on the floor of the House, questioned the government, saying that if someone comes and confesses that they have buried a body below Vidhan Soda, will you dig up Vidhan Soda? Also, is the question that the BJP posed the government. So, government had today, and now today we have seen the arrest.
Right.
Home Minister Parmeshwar, in fact, went on record all to say that, to tell the BJP that we are not supporting any toolkit member or anyone from justice. If the masked man or the whistleblower has given false information, there would be action against him too, is what the Home Minister had promised. And subsequently, now after 24 hours, we have seen him being arrested. We are picking up from the sources that the skull that he had bought is also fake.